Hello, everybody. Welcome to Pirate TV. This is our first podcast. This is my personal podcast. I would like to tell you a little bit about me before I start. I am an American citizen. I've been living here in Spain for 20 plus years. I have dual citizenship. You see, I believe that many of the data people are getting from Spain out there is either controlled by government, by Spanish government, or it's practically incomplete. Now, I want to do this so people can know how things are on the ground, not some media report, right? So, before I start, I would like to make a little, sequence of events, how things have been going on since January. So, starting with January 24th, that's the day when the chief of labor risks for the National Police warned agents to be prepared through a letter. Funny thing is that 2 days later, he was relieved of his post by government, and the only explanation given was that he was fear-mongering. That's what you get. 31st of January, right? First COVID case. We have an epidemiologist named Simon, who said he's the head of the government's response to the crisis, and this guy said that no more than a few diagnosed cases will be, here in Spain. Sanchez, our prime minister, is busy declaring a climate emergency. Look, I'm not saying climate is not important. It's very important. But, there's much more important things at hand right now. On February the 9th, we had our second case, and that's when this technological congress that happens in Barcelona called Mobile World Congress announces the cancellation of their event. Sanchez, our prime minister, says that this decision doesn't respond to public health reasons. That is just hysteria and fear-mongering. Simon, the guy in charge of the crisis, says no risk of infection. Anxiety for this obeys no reasoning. Well, here we are, right? On February the 23rd, a very famous Spanish researcher called Oriol Mitjà made on social media an urgent call for government to take action. At the same time, our prime minister was more worried about, the anniversary of a failed coup that happened in 1981 by a civil guard named Tejero, who tried to reinstall, the Franco's dictatorship, or some sort of dictatorship in that way. Our prime minister, as you can see, was more worried about a dead dictator than anything else. But hey, that's what we get, right? On February the 24th, we had our fourth case. On the 25th, we had 8 confirmed cases. Remember, in 24 hours, the case doubled. So there's this emergency staff meeting with the COVID-19 as central topic, but no actions are announced by the government. And Sanchez, our prime minister, goes on Twitter saying Spain needs a resolute and executive government of action. Whatever the hell that means, On the 26th of February, we had 14 confirmed cases, and Sanchez receives secessionist leader Torra with state honors. Remember, everybody knew what was going on, but Sanchez decided to attend other matters, which were more pressing to him, I believe. On the 27th, we had 27 confirmed cases. Sanchez only bothered with increasing government spending. No reason behind it. He just gave every region more authority to spend. That's it. Now, it doesn't He didn't say they should spend on, protective gear for health workers. Nah, just here you go, money, spend it on whatever the hell you want. On February the 29th, we had 59 confirmed cases. Sanchez was more worried about farmer protests that were building up because of very, very faulty, very, very bad agrarian reforms. On March the 1st, we had 84 confirmed cases, and Sanchez is just, worried about recuperating dialogue with secessionist movements. March the 3rd, we had 169 cases, first dead. Government presents a sexual freedom law bill. We're more worried about legislating catcalling than taking action against this virus. On March the 4th, we had 228 confirmed cases, 2 dead, and the debate is still about catcalling, right? On March the 6th, 365 confirmed cases, and Sanchez calls for people to take the streets on March the 8th for Women's March under the motto, "No future without feminism." Wow. March the 7th, 430 confirmed cases, 10 dead. The Socialist Party of Spain goes to Twitter to say, "Take the streets of Madrid on March the 8th. Simon, the head of the response against the virus, says that the coronavirus epidemic here in Spain is totally under control, and you can decide if you want to attend the marches or not. You're completely free to do so if you want to." On March the 8th, the day of the Women's March, there's around 700 cases, let's say. Some say 730, 710, around 700, plus minus 20, 30. But we already had 17 confirmed dead. 120,000 people march only in Madrid, and there are 74 marches nationwide in every single regional capital. Maybe not so affluent with people, but yeah, you get the idea, right? So what it's important to note in that march, in Madrid's march, we had several ministers of government, right? One of them being Irene Montero, the Minister of Equality, and the Vice President, Carmen Calviño, the First Lady, Pedro Sanchez's wife, and his mother and mother-in-law. Now, Irene Montero shows already symptoms in the protest, and there's even a viral video going around of her coughing on top of some lady, and the lady saying, "Hey, stop coughing on me." And she says, "No, it's okay, I'm fine, I don't have nothing." Well, a few days later, she was confirmed to have the virus. What's funny enough is that, for example, some of the other ministers attended this rally using surgical gloves. Did they know something we didn't? I don't know. So, also Sanchez's wife attended the rally already infected. So, yeah. March the 9th. You see, this is one day after Women's March. The World Health Organization, the United Nations, European Union already warned Sanchez in January and February to not let those marches go on. But they didn't care, their political standing was more important for them. So they decided to go on, and 24 hours after, on March 9th, we had 3,000 confirmed cases, more than 100 dead. And government changes tune. Oh shit, something might be going on here, right? Christ. On March the 14th, state of alarm is declared during the evening. Everybody is asked to be confined in their homes, and all industrial activity didn't halt immediately, but it went to a minimum. Now, that was the 14th of March. Now, the 17th of March is when there's another emergency staff meeting, and sources say that Pablo Iglesias, the vice president, the husband of Montero, the Minister of Equality, breaks quarantine and attends meeting to demand nationalization of energy companies, media networks, and total autonomy for Catalonia and Basque regions in the management of the crisis. Sources also say that Sanchez, our prime minister, caved in to his demands, but it had to be the VP, the vice president, Carmen Calviño, who said no to Iglesias, and that wasn't going to happen. Remember, Iglesias, his wife is already in quarantine. He lives with her, so he breaks quarantine. And if I, myself, or my neighbor break that quarantine, we can face fines up to 100,000 euros. And if they catch you repeatedly, you'll be going to jail. It's that simple, right? But hey, if you are a vice president, I guess you are above the law. On March the 18th, government gets scammed when buying COVID tests from unauthorized Chinese company. These tests prove to have 30% efficiency or less. The Chinese ambassador that same day said that Spanish government didn't use the list of authorized companies provided by their embassy. Hey, why listen, right? So here we're going to make a jump from the 18th all through the 30th of March, right? Because in these days, several things happen. For example, all presidential press conferences are pre-filmed and with the questions being filtered by the press secretary. So basically, press conferences turn into like Hugo Chávez's "Aló Presidente," right? They only take questions from media that is favorable to their cause, to their ideology, and basically that's the day. Those are the days when freedom of the press completely died in Spain. Not only that, but in that period of time, from the 18th to the 30th, Sanchez government administration, they announce that they'll give 15 million euros to mainstream media companies to do for the losses they've had because of lack of advertisement. Jesus. So what actually happens is that they just bought their silence, right? So you could see that how that happened, and immediately the next day you have mainstream media saying that, oh no, maybe the technique that the Chinese are using, for that to control their population through digital media and everything, maybe that could help us too. Wow. Not only that, but writer Alfonso Ucía, who is always very critical has been very critical with his government. His article gets censored and not published, although it's running around in several messaging apps, like WhatsApp, Telegram, and all these. On March the 31st, government orders Directive 2 account deaths by coronavirus that haven't been tested as for multi-organic failure, respiratory distress, acute pulmonary deficiency, or cardiopulmonary failure. What this means is that obviously we don't have tests, except if you are part of the government, right? You'll get tested right away with a good test. But the thing is, as there are no tests, many patients die without being tested. Now, even though the doctors know it's coronavirus because of the symptomology and all that, there's no analytical proof that you had coronavirus. So the government says that, okay, well, don't account them as that, just say that they died from something else. That's why probably the number of deaths is quite higher than the official reports. On April the 2nd is critical because we already have 104,000 confirmed cases, 10,003 dead, and around 950 of those died in the last 24 hours. That's the day the regional president of Extremadura, sort of like a state governor in the United States, destitutes the manager of a health clinic in the city of Plasencia for asking for gear donations, protective gear. Well, this guy was asking for donations from people because what the socialist government, regional government, promised just never arrived. And yeah, for asking people to help, he gets destituted. Remember, I skipped one here, quite important, but on March the 29th, Spanish government gets scammed twice by the same company. Okay, so they bought faulty tests from the first company, right? The first time from this company. Then they buy a second time from the same company and get scammed and then act like, oh my God, we can't believe we got scammed. It's like, I don't know. You guys judge by yourselves. This time the tests are only 50% efficient. So, yeah. So as to yesterday, April 4th, major news outlets declare that they won't participate in government's farce press conferences. Right-wing party Vox declare they will take Sanchez to court for establishing a de facto martial law without going through parliament. And that's the thing. You see, in Spain, for you to be able to declare a state of exception or martial law, you have to have the majority of parliament in favor of it. If you don't have the support of parliament, you can at most declare state of alarm, which is what we had legally established already. But the thing is, government is overreaching. You see, this is what happens when socialists and communists get into power in a democracy, right? Look at Venezuela. They did the same thing, They come in saying, "Oh no, we're not going to do this. Don't worry, we'll help everybody." And then the first thing Sanchez does is, when he declares a state of emergency, is give the control of our national intelligence service to the vice president, who is a known associate of the Venezuelan dictatorship. He actually consulted for them in helping them draft their constitution, right? So this is what we got. Now, here comes my personal opinion. Look, I don't know how much you guys know about this or how much you guys have heard about this, but Spain is up to its neck in crap. And not only that, but the government is has practically gone into damage control mode, and they're trying to blame anybody they can for their own mistakes. You see, a couple of weeks ago, some government officials went out and said that, oh, well, if health providers are getting sick, it's their own fault. Okay, so you're telling me you're sending them, it's like sending your military to war without guns or ammo, right? And then if they lose the war, you blame them for losing it. It's basically ridiculous. I know. Look, the only thing we can do is just sit and wait for the country to either totally collapse or or I don't know. But this is what you get when you are in a crisis, and you get these power hungry socialists and communists that are basically just waiting for the chance to usher in their utopia, right? By taking advantage of a really, really, really bad situation for the country. Not only that, but small business owners, as I said before, are being strangled, right? You can't earn money, you can't fire anybody, you can't do anything. And get this, the best solution the government gave small business owners is, well, you can always go for a loan to the bank. It's like, what? Really? So the only solution you give me to save my small business, because you didn't take action in the first place, is take out a loan? Wow. Well, that's all for today. Thank you for listening. Please spread the word. Let people know what the hell is going on here in Spain. And don't ever, ever let the pretty words of a social communist, or whatever you want to call it, I don't care, let's call them progressives, don't let their pretty words hypnotize you, because this is what you get. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your patience. See you next time.